Welcome to our webinar on the New Worlds Reading Initiative. We're so happy that you could all join us to learn more about this program and how it supports you, your students, and their families. I am Michelle White, and I'm the Executive Director for the Florida Association of School Administrators. And with me today is Paige Pullen from the New Worlds Reading Initiative and Michael Hagan from Scholastic. Paige is the Chief Academic Officer at the Lastinger Center of Learning at UF, and Dr. Pullen also holds positions at UF School of Special Education, School Psychology, and Early Childhood Studies. Prior to UF, she held appointments at the University of Virginia's Curry School of Education, and she is a triple gator with her BAE, Master's in Ed, and PhD, all from the University of Florida. She was a public school elementary and reading teacher for 12 years and teaching students from very diverse backgrounds with diverse learning disabilities and abilities. So thank you for being here, Paige. And I want to also introduce Michael, who is the Senior Vice President, General Manager of Lit Pro and Collections and Scholastic Education Solutions. He has over 25 years of academic experience, having served as a teacher, principal, chief academic officer, and direct report to superintendents in 3 school districts. Scholastic was selected by the Lastinger Center to help curate and fulfill books for the New Worlds Reading Initiative. So thank you, Michael, for being with us as well. And today we are very excited to give away 54 free books from the New Worlds Reading Initiative collection for grades K through 5 to 10 of our live participants today. So keep an eye out for an email from New Worlds Reading after today's webinar. Let's kind of kick some things off with an overview about New Worlds Reading Initiative. Paige, I would love if you could tell us a little bit about the story of New Worlds Reading, how it came to be, the overall goal, and then how Scholastic has partnered with you on this program.
Absolutely, Michelle, and thank you for having me here today. I am really excited to tell you about the New Worlds Reading Initiative. This is something that we worked with in consultation with the legislature and the Florida Department of Education, who funded this opportunity for children across the state of Florida to get books delivered directly to their homes, with the idea of really increasing that love of learning and providing access to books for children who may not otherwise have access to those books. And we know that access to books is critical in terms of developing readers and the love of learning to read and loving reading. But we also know that it's much more than that, that it also has a lot to do with the supports that families may need to help them help their children. And so we're excited to be able to launch into this effort. So that's a little bit about the background of how it came to be, just partnering with the state and fortunately having the funding and being selected as the administrator of this project to get books to children in their homes.
I know we're going to get more into some data and where we are, but first, can you tell us a little bit about the eligibility? Like, how do we get kids engaged in this amazing program?
This is an amazing program, and it is designed specifically for children who are not yet reading on grade level. So we consider those our striving readers. We know that they can learn to read, and we want to provide them every opportunity. And so the students who are eligible are students who, based on their district-wide assessments or statewide assessments, are not yet reading on grade level.
Thank you. And then, Michael, can you talk a little bit about the Scholastic role in this initiative and getting engaged from almost from the beginning here?
Sure. Scholastic, we have the great privilege of partnering with the Lastinger Center in this work. And a great part of our work is on our end is selecting the books and to offer up for consideration to go home to the students based on the themes that they select. And this part is really critical because we want students, as Paige was saying, to want to read them, to look forward to the next book and the next book, and to remember the books that they read and reread them again. All of those things are very important in the students' development of their learning and their reading, and sharing that with their family members, and then going back to schools and sharing with their teachers what they've read at home, and making that partnership and that connection. So selecting those books as a part of our Scholastic and sharing with the state of Florida, as well as how do we send those books home, getting them to each of these families across the state of Florida is really important. So what that looks like, what comes with the books. We work very closely with the Lasseter Center on the materials that go home to the families and bookmarks that go home to the students. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So our partnership has just been an absolute honor and privilege to present some of the best books that children love across the state.
Yeah,
and I'd like to echo that too, Michael. And just to reiterate what Michael says, it truly is a partnership. And for a project this size, it takes obviously more than just the Lasseter Center. It takes all of us, teachers, families, school districts, and a fabulous partner that we have in Scholastic. They have an incredible amount of experience in selecting books and knowing what children like to read, and also in working with families. And so we selected Scholastic because we wanted a partner who believes in the same mission that we do, and that is to accelerate the love of learning to read and reading to children across the state.
Michelle, what you have on the screen here is some of the books are in English, a couple are in Spanish, and then we also have Haitian Creole. So to be able to offer that to families in Florida is just, again, a great privilege to be able to do that.
And, talking about that home library, right, and having a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, or even an older sibling where our kids can sit next to them or snuggle up in their lap and hold these books. And especially if there's a language barrier too, right? Like this helps that parent engagement where we know the student is going to be learning English at school, but maybe that's not the case at home. So they can still enjoy that love of reading together. So I really appreciate that for parents as well, right? It's not just about the kids, but also that parent connection and building those family ties.
And research also shows that reading in your first language or second language and multilanguage, emerging multilinguals, helps to increase your language in English. And so it's great to have that as well. Research shows that.
That's amazing. And then, that helps expand beyond the student, right? This grows exponentially the more kids have access to those books in their hands at home. So let's talk a little bit about how many kids are currently enrolled. So maybe Paige or Michael, can you dive in a little bit about where we are today?
Well, currently our enrollment, as you see on the screen, is 130,442 families. So those are many, many children across the state who are getting books into their hands, delivered to their homes. That's 24% of the total eligible students that are enrolled at this point. So even though we have 130,000 students, that seems like a lot, and we're pleased that we have 130,000 getting books, but we need teachers' help. We need all of you to make sure that we are reaching every child who's eligible for this program, because we would like for that 24% to jump up to 100%. We would like every child in the state who's eligible to actually receive these books. Kindergartners, there are 397 kindergartners enrolled. What's important about this is regardless of their eligibility now in kindergarten. So if they are striving readers as a kindergartner, even if they reach grade level by the end of this academic year, they are eligible all the way through 5th grade. So once you're enrolled in the program, you are eligible for all of your elementary school years.
I think that's critical because that means that starting in kindergarten, by the time they're 5th grade, they will have 54 books. And if they have siblings in the household who also receive books, you're building these robust in-home libraries. And again, that aids with the students' learning. They go from learning to read to reading to learn. And it's just an incredible feeling that we want our students to have in their growth in this process. And 24% is great, but as Paige is saying, when you have another 400,000 students that are eligible, we really do need our teachers' support in making sure that families are hearing about this opportunity and taking advantage of it as well.
If you look at this map of the state of Florida, look for your district, and you can look for your district in terms of the color and strive to get your district higher than the other districts. So if your district is one of the ones that is still white, we want to see that turn blue and orange and dark blue so that we have more eligible students who are enrolled.
Michael, can you maybe talk a little bit about the launch of this and meeting some families and what it's already meaning for some of the kids?
Oh, that was an incredible launch held at the zoo there in Florida outside of Orlando. And what was incredible for me was the families, when they came in, they sat down at the tables before they went out to do their activities. I had an opportunity to go to each table and talk to the students and their families. What did they like about the program? What interests them about it? And it was amazing to hear kindergartners tell me each book they received. They remembered each of them. They were looking forward to the next one. It was really great to hear some of the older students talk about how they read all of their books and they want to read even more books. And for me, that's creating lifelong lovers of reading. As you can see from the expressions on their faces in these pictures here and the activities that they were doing, it was just such an exciting time to see families so engaged with books.
So let's switch to how our educators can help get kids enrolled. So maybe Michael, I can start with you. Let's talk about the importance and of our educators really reaching out to families.
We talked earlier about the books being in multiple languages to support the families in Florida. And we think that's critical. So not only do we send the books home in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole, but we also the literacy resources as well. For example, on the screen here, you have bookmarks where we want the families that are supporting the students to be able to read that with them. It's important that the teachers know that that's going home as well. And oftentimes, teachers, we have students, our classes are very diverse, and we want to know how can we better support our families. Well, here's an incredible way to do that. And when teachers know more about it and inform their families, they can get more students to sign up. And it's based on the criteria that they send out. If they share that they're based on their assessments, that their students are not at the reading levels they would like for them to be at, then they're eligible for the program to start receiving the books. So it's important that they do share the message, that they do let their families know that what the books are available in, that we have other resources like family guide resources that supports the family and how to get started with reading, what happens when the books come home, what does it mean to reread a book, what does it mean to share this with your teachers at the school, what does it mean to talk about vocabulary in the book, and then activities that they can do as well. So when teachers know this, they become more engaged and want to partner with the families in doing this work as well.
Thank you so much. And Paige, while we're talking about the engagement of our educators, what is coming in the future for engagement and enrichment?
Well, this is really exciting. We are now going to be able, in year 2 of the project, so we're just finalizing year 1. In year 2, we'll be developing teacher professional development around the books that the children are receiving in their homes. So teachers can receive book-specific interactive reading guides for activities around that book, around the books that the kids get mailed to their home. And one of the ways that can really help is that can help the teacher engage with the family. So the students will be reading the books at home, and teachers can actually work with their students. And rather than having to create all of the lessons, we'll have interactive guides for every book that goes home to students. We'll have interactive reading guides for those books for teachers, and they'll be available on our website. We'll also be holding face-to-face professional development, and we'll be creating modules for how to engage with families around the books and help increase that family engagement piece. The other thing that teachers can do as you're getting the these materials, you'll be able to link to families, but you want your students in your classroom to get these books. And so you can actually help parents enroll. So at the end of the presentation, there'll be instructions for how to get to the website and how parents can enroll. When you have parent conferences and parents are coming in to talk to you, pull up the website and let them register right there. There are so many exciting things coming, from parent engagement events to family engagement events to teacher professional development, books sent home, wraparound services for everyone that supports that child. And that's what's so unique about New World's Reading Initiative, is that there are many programs around that send books home, but this particular program has those wraparound services. And two fantastic organizations, our partnership with Scholastic, that has years and years of experience working in this space, and the Lastinger Center's in-depth knowledge on teacher professional development, the science of reading, and put those things together. And we have a vision for a literate Florida that is going to address the needs of our students.
So I want to reflect back on we've kind of touched on it, where we're encouraging the students to be enrolled in this wonderful program, and the timing of it, right? Because sometimes kids aren't getting enrolled until maybe in the middle of the school year, or thinking about it over the summer. And we know that we want kids to have books in their hands in the summer, even though they may not be in our school. Talk to me a little bit about the number of books kids receive.
Michelle, you're making a really valid point. What's great about this program, I want to talk a little bit more about what Paige was just talking about on the professional learning side of development. That's offered to teachers at no charge. And what an incredible opportunity to receive this expertise and what that looks like and how to support your families. Well, the same thing for the books. If their child signs up in May, they will still receive all 9 books. So they receive a book a month. This first pilot year, we started the book delivery in December because this is when the program started, but for the next year, it'll start in October. So they receive a book a month starting in October, going through June. And so that's 9 books. But no matter when they sign up, they receive all the books for that year. So if you're listening now and you sign up now, what a great way to go into the summer to receive all of those books, as well as the resources that come along with it. And an incredible opportunity to do that, to get ready for the fall, to start it again and receive your first book in October.
That's right.
One of the things we haven't mentioned is that children get to actually select their topics of interest. And so that really helps develop a love of reading too, when they have choice. So choice is really important. And although they're not selecting specific books at this point, hopefully in the future we'll be able to do that, but they're getting to select the topic area that they want. And then we're making sure that they have a wide variety of access to different genres related to their areas of interest, to expose them to various text structures, so they're able to read books that they'll see in different settings. Another group that we didn't mention, and I really think the fact that we are offering these books and materials in various languages, so as we said earlier, English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. And as Michael said, those literacy skills that you learn in your native language actually do transfer. A group we're leaving out, though, that we haven't mentioned, is students who are visually impaired. We are actually sending Braille books and Braille resources to families of children who are visually impaired. So if the student is visually impaired, the materials that the parent receives will be regular print, but the bookmark and the book itself will be in Braille. And Braille literacy is really important. It's easy to kind of skip over literacy for our children who are visually impaired due to all of the technology that we have. But the National Federation for the Blind talks about how important literacy is for all children, including those who are visually impaired. So we're really excited to be able to include that group of students as well.
Let's talk about one other question on what has surprised or delighted you the most about this program. And Paige, I'm going to start with you.
I think what has delighted me most about this program is seeing the families. We've had the opportunity to film some families who going to the mailbox and getting their books, and the zoo event that Michael mentioned. And it is the joy on the faces of the children that excites me most about this program. I have worked my whole adult life in working to expand literacy particularly for vulnerable populations. And to see these families so excited about getting these materials and having access and asking for more. They want to read, as I think Michael mentioned, that one of the students at the zoo said he had read all of his books and all of his older siblings' books as well. So we're going to have to figure out a way to increase the number of books because these children are really loving the program. And that's what's excited me most. And I don't know that I would say that would be a surprise. It's what I would expect. It's just, I'm delighted to see it.
What a good problem to have, right? That now these children are asking for more books and more opportunities to engage with that. Michael, what about you?
I'm ditto what Paige just said. I was a little surprised to hear that they wanted even more books. Often you send books home, but the excitement of them opening them and receiving them and then reading them, and they were able to name every book and wanting more. So that was just a joy to hear that, because you want. Oftentimes, I do a little when I'm visiting schools. I ask older students, middle school, high school students, how many books have they read independently without being assigned by their teacher? And the answer is usually 0, especially in our high schools. So to instill this in our students at a very young age, that they're reading at a very young age and loving it and wanting to read more, has just been absolute joy to see that and to hear that coming from them. And what, as you said, Michelle, what a great problem to have, wanting to get more to them.
For sure.
I'm also excited about the teacher professional development, because what I can see is that children open these books at home, and then suppose it's a April book. They get the book in April, and then May comes around and the teacher pulls out that April book and says, let's read this book together, and here's an activity. And that child has already read that book and is already familiar and has the background knowledge. Think about the place that child is going to be compared to without having the book at home. And that might be an experience they've never had before, where they've actually already seen a book that's been brought out in their classroom.
And Steph Harvey and Annie Ward talk about in their work that takes the students from striving to thriving. So they're familiar with the book already, and then they see it again in their classroom. So those striving readers now become thriving readers. They're able to engage more. They're happy about it. They have some context that they didn't have before. And sometimes you need that little extra boost to read it before, or read it multiple times. And so it takes them from striving to thriving.
And I can just imagine a student being in their classroom and seeing that, and the confidence that could come rushing in of the knowledge of that book. So it really is a great opportunity. And I think too, again, building community from teacher and administrator perspective to parents and guardians, and just, having a different kind of dialogue, right, with our parents and those supporting our school, of talking about literacy in such a positive way, of being able to support their students, and knowing so many leaders around the state are supporting them and rooting for them through the legislature and through Scholastic and the Lastinger Center. What a great opportunity. Before we close out today, I want to ask, any final comments? And I'll start with you, Michael. Just other things our educators should consider.
I think this is what a model for the rest of the country. The educators in Florida have this incredible opportunity, and obviously they're taking advantage of it when you see 130,000 students signed up as of now in the pilot year. And just what an example of what it means to partner with families and educators partnering with the university in a way that student achievement goes up. With all of the learning disruptions we've encountered, to do something like this at this time for children and with educators is some of the greatest work you can do. That's why most of us come into education, is to see our students thrive. And this is the opportunity to do that in a program that supports professional learning for their teachers, to support them in working with their families receiving materials in multiple languages, and for great books. So it's just a great feeling to have this as a model for the rest of the country, I believe.
Absolutely. Paige, how about you?
Well, I want to say thank you first to all of our school level personnel, administrators, district level personnel, coaches, principals, but in particular teachers. Michael and I have both been where you are. We've both been teachers in the classroom. We've worked at various levels in school districts and school systems, and we know how hard you work. And this is really exciting to be able to partner with you to help your students learn and grow as readers. And so I see this as a really great opportunity to realize a comprehensive vision where we can support you by helping support families and the children that you serve. So thank you very much for all that you do. And please let us know how we can support and help make this program even better than it already is.
Absolutely. We want to continue to champion these readers and supporting literacy across the state. And as Michael said too, Florida tends to be a state that is looked at and really modeled after because we do so many amazing things in education here. So thank you all for joining us. Again, we're going to be reaching out to our 10 lucky winners via email. So make sure you keep your eye out. And you may have won 54 free books included in the New Worlds Reading Initiative for those grades K through 5. We appreciate your time and we look forward to seeing you at a future event.